Welcome to the Reconnected Podcast, a home for sharing, understanding, and growth for the retail grocery store industry. During each episode, we will meet an amazing member of our community as we learn about their story and jointly explore the intricacies and challenges of our supply chain. Through it all, we'll remember and honor that everything starts with the real people who spend so much of their lives supporting the retail food supply chain. We will bring together the voices of manufacturers, distributors, and retailers as we journey together to help our industry reconnect. My name is Luke Abbott, and I'm excited to have you join us. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Reconnected Podcast, where today we have Brian Scott, president of Gourmet Foods International, as our guest. And Brian, thank you for taking some time to be with me today.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the invite. Obviously, we both didn't qualify for the Masters, so this is the second best place we could be.
It works for me, though. That's all I need. It's more than you're more than enough. And so Brian, I think you're one of the most interesting guys in our industry, and it means a lot that you're here. The Reconnected Podcast is really this idea of like truly reconnecting our supply chain, connecting manufacturers, brokers, retailers, distributors together, humanizing the supply chain. We often talk about companies, especially large ones like yours, like GFI. It's like, well, that isn't captured at all. There's all these great people, starting with you, cascading down that really are the company. And anyway, so I'm grateful to have you here to be able to tell us, talk about some of your story. We'll spend some time also talking about the industry and maybe ideas for how we can improve it and have it operate even better and maybe even more transparently. But to start off with, could you give us like a 2-3 minute introduction to who is Brian Scott, some of your story, how you got to where you're at?
Sure. I born and raised in Omaha, Nebraska. You don't meet too many people like that because there's only I don't know how many, but the size of Nebraska is not that big. So, but went undergrad to University of Nebraska and looked at a job board as I was about 2 weeks from graduation and signed up for a interview with Hormel Foods, on-campus interview, and received a call, did the interview, and then had the second interview in Austin, Minnesota, where it was extremely cold, and was offered a job in sales in Omaha, Nebraska, selling meat products for Hormel Foods. And Hormel Foods, like a lot of companies, this was 1996, and much smaller than they are now. Very proud of their brand. Really great grooming opportunity. A fantastic company, invested in their people, direct sales force, all the things. So quickly moved through Hormel in various sales positions, promoted to their headquarters in Austin, where their headquarters was located in Austin, Minnesota, where I assumed some marketing and business development roles. And again, got more exposure to high level leadership there and just good business practices. And I worked for Hormel for around 5 years and was approached with, at the time, Atlanta Foods International, which is now Gourmet Foods International as we've grown, which at the time we were one distribution center, a regional specialty distributor with a little pocket of retail business in the retail distribution business in the Southeast and some food service business, again, regional. And thought it was pretty interesting. I loved Hormel, still do. A lot of my really good friends are there. But, really aspired for change and a very eager individual that always had ideas. And larger companies of that magnitude, they can't move as fast, they're not as nimble, and that was frustrating. Great ideas, especially when I was on the marketing desk for product innovation and inspirational ideas, all the things that we still aspire for even 20 some years later. So approached by this company that was obviously much more nimble and was fun to work with. Really enjoyed the people that I met, and so I went to work and moved to Atlanta, Georgia, where it was much nicer weather most of the year. When I left, it was like 40 below in Austin, Minnesota. So it was another compelling reason, I guess. Probably not so much, but and started on the sales side at Atlanta Foods, and we've been growing ever since. We're now 12 distribution centers. I progressed through the company into management and eventually vice president of sales. And then in 2017, elevated to president of Gourmet Foods International, really overseeing our nationwide distribution and export business, spanning 12 distribution centers and really helping to embed continue to embed a great culture and our mantra of changing people's lives through good food. And that is something you can see on our trucks. We really stand behind that. And it's not just, changing somebody's perception of food or getting them to try something that they hadn't, but, we get to work with vendors, and we get to help them maybe even facilitate and their ability to work with chains and national restaurant accounts and take their items to market in different ways and help them to be successful and profitable. And the triangle of success in our business is, our customers are profitable, the distributor is profitable, and the vendor is profitable. And when that all works, the supply chain, the food supply chain works. And
Yes.
and hopefully through things that we can do, we can compress certain costs out of it, or make it more economical and some of these great products so they're not unapproachable from a price point perspective. And hopefully when it's all said and done, we can have fun doing it and be on fun casts like this. So
I love it. Thank you for the background. It's remarkable that growing up in Nebraska and starting off in this large organization, you get tapped to come to GFI. You say yes, and was it in you? Is there an entrepreneurial spirit? Like you mentioned, fun, creation, and growth, and was there something there that started at a young age, or maybe even inspired by a family member or someone? I'm curious because you took it's a big move to go from Nebraska and Hormel and the safety of this big company to go to Atlanta.
Yeah, I would say a lot of who I am and comes from my athletic background, specifically wrestling. I was a wrestler, all of my up until I was 22 years old. And that's a very individual sport that exposes that you learn to take a lot of risk. And you may say, what do you mean risk? I mean, if you're a male and, no matter what decade or to the beginning of time, or any individual, honestly, and you put yourself in front of maybe whether it's 10 people or 1,000 people or however large the venue is, and you're one-on-one, hand-to-hand combat, and if you lose, that other individual just told everybody that they're tougher than you, they're better than you, they're faster than you, so you learn to take risk. And also with that sport, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. I mean, you are, the last couple of days, you're dehydrating yourself to make weight. You're disciplined to get to this event, this 6-minute, I guess the symphony of all of this hard work and all the practice and all the pain, the misery, the starving, not going to a party on Friday night because you had to weigh in the next day, those type of things. And then you got to perform, so it's a lot like business. If you think about it,
it is.
You build structure. And then, especially in sales, Luke, as the symphony, the 6-minute match is that, in front of a customer or maybe a potential principal, if you're a broker or representing, and telling them why they, you think that this is a great idea that they invest their money in. So.
No, I love that. I mean, I'm connecting with the energy, although I've never been a wrestler, but the energy, like you're relating it back to our business. And it's like when you get the win, like you did the work, you were disciplined, you showed up, you brought it, win or lose, you brought it,
Right.
and you brought it. And the thing is, it doesn't matter in some way. You mentioned what other people might think, but in some ways, it matters more what you brought, right? And that feels like there's like an integrity there with yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is the gladiator out there. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that story. And I also am curious, like how many team members do you have at GFI today?
So today we're at 1,300 team members and growing. Through acquisitions and just some of the organic growth in the many channels that we're heavily invested in.
So that's a lot of people who are paying their mortgages, their car payments, they're taking family vacations, growing families, essentially under the leadership that you have this organization. And you've come so far in your career, and you're not that old.
No,
this is crazy.
It's an unbelievable responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I mean, all of our, leadership, and, I was on a call yesterday with one of our vendors that, I had a lot of questions about our business and I, was talking to them specifically because they had some questions about, it was a founder of a company and the investments that they were thinking about making and equipment and technology and everything like that. And I think these are all things that are near and dear to my heart, as we have had many conversations about that. But the most important investment is in your people.
Yeah.
And the compensation and the rewards for success and the pathways that they know that they have, and the open door policy that we have that is in our handbook. Anyone, anytime can come into my office or any of our leadership's office and talk about an idea, talk about a frustration, and some of the best parts of our company, not some of many hundreds of of great things in our company have come from that policy, and it's so easy and it's free.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So like the human resources, this team, over 1,000 people is the core of GFI. It isn't the trucks, the warehouses, the product. It's the people, right? And
Yes.
I think that's so important. And I sounds like when you were growing up at Hormel that you saw the investment that was being made in you and the development. And I'm curious, was there any like one person in those early years that maybe took you under their wing, that mentored you? Was it really just more of a group? I'm curious if they're like that path.
I could, don't want to embarrass anybody. I won't mention any names specifically, but definitely the culture at Hormel was great for a big company, and we had good friendships again that I've carried forward, that 20 years later, I don't have a lot of great relationships with people I graduated. I went to school with all the way through, but I still have relationships with a lot of people there because they were good people and we were all working hard for something that we believed in, good products, I left for a reason, but I still admire a lot of the people and the culture there. And I know the CEO there, Jim Snee, and he was there when I was there. He's a great person. And I know for a fact, not there, but he is building on that, just similar to what, this journey that we're on also at GFI, and how we can make our organization better and have better customer experience. And it all starts with the foundation and people that care. I go to a lot of our driver meetings. We, driver meetings and our drivers. At the end of the day, we're a transportation company, and the last person that touches that box is the driver.
Yes.
And we get so many compliments that our drivers are amazing and they're nice. And, so we also we owe it to our drivers too, to handle these products and make sure that they're in pristine condition so that they're not embarrassed when they hand that over to a customer.
That's beautiful. And I agree. It's, as you know, I still own a distribution company as well. And my drivers were the best.
Yeah.
Talk about gladiators.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes.
For sure.
I got to go to, not got to, I went to a funeral for the best driver we ever had. A gentleman named Leon Crane. And it's funny you mentioned drivers, because I remember when I first started, I was 21 in the business, and he was, never talking to him. He's like, Luke, every day is a marathon. I show up and my job is to bring it fully.
Yeah.
And these people count on me to be there at a certain time. And he did this. I worked with them over 20 years, and it was just so beautiful, the energy, and in many ways, the drivers of a distribution company are the face of the company. It's the face that the stores see, right? Especially when working with independents, it is the company in so many ways. So yeah, you're right. I think the drivers are often unsung heroes in distribution, and they are, to your point, at the end of the day, that we have to get product to people's facilities. It is the core of the company. So I love that. And so continuing on with your career, like joining, what was Atlanta Foods at the time, you're hired in sales, and there's this amazing career trajectory that leads you to the top. Who saw you and saw the potential in you and helped develop you?
Well, so the president at the time, this Doug J, was really, my initial opening to GFI, and he our company, we're all salespeople, and in the fact that all of the different products that we represent, it's our responsibility to sell them before they go out of date, and to do all these things. So, Doug was, really the one that brought me into the company, is still with the company as CEO, and, somebody you have work friendships that are just so invaluable and priceless, and my contribution to the company, and how I was promoted to where I am today was, by working together with him to help achieve anchor businesses across the United States, so that it enabled us to build distribution centers in those areas, which then helped improve our service to those customers in those areas, and then also be able to hub and spoke other channels of business, whether food service, restaurants, hotels, and stuff. So, Doug is the person in our organization that, I've worked with and love working with to get us to where we are now.
That's beautiful. And so were you involved in, like, even developing the hub and spoke, or were you more on the sales side, like just getting those anchor accounts? We're the operations side, I guess.
Absolutely. I mean, we're not a huge organization that has robust FP&A teams that are doing all this. We're you build the business and it comes. Still sometimes today.
Right.
I mean, if so I was a lot of the places that we went early were because we built big businesses there, and it was more economical to be closer to the customers. So I was very involved, even prior to being vice president, in looking at facilities that met our capabilities. We're a privately family owned company that's never taken any venture capital money or even private equity money. So, but the great part about the Russ McCall, the owner, is that the profits every year that we've piled right back
Wow.
into helping to build our nationwide footprint and helping, again, to reinvest it in our team members and our people and our benefits, and which, make it all grow.
That's beautiful. As I'm listening to you talk, I pick up like a palpable humility, and like it isn't just about me, it's about the team, and it's like reflexive for you. It's not, this is authentically who you are. And I'm curious because this is something I spent a lot of my time in my career thinking about. How important is humility for the not only for you but for your entire team? Is it like a core value in your organization?
It absolutely is. If you ever visit my office, I'm not in my office at work today because this is a little bit more suitable for this discussion. But I don't have any artwork. As you know,
I've
I have
been
one
there. I've been
piece.
there.
I have one piece, and it says, "Work hard and be nice."
Yeah.
And it's not always easy. I don't want to sit here, and I appreciate your compliments and everything, but all of the things and the challenges, whether they're self-inflicted or not, it's hard, to do, to always follow those two rules. But being, at the end of the day, like we say it all the time, we check our ego at the door.
Yeah.
It's an ego or not being humble blinds you from certain things and solutions.
Yes, you
And
can't grow.
sometimes
You can't grow. You're not humble.
yeah, you can't.
No.
You really can't, because sometimes you have to, even when things are challenging, or there's a relationship that doesn't work with a customer or a vendor partner. At the end of the day, we have to buy and sell things at a profit if we want to be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
And you just can't let you can't let your ego get in the way. And to me, it comes easy. I feel like, for some reason, but for so many people, you see it, and I'm not one to tell anybody that, to preach to anybody. Sometimes I can see it even in people that we compete with, and it's just, I don't know if maybe I'm telling too many secrets.
No, you're not telling too many secrets. This is beautiful. And do you have any secrets in terms of staying grounded? I mean, you've come so far, and I've met your wife. I sense she can be a grounding influence, but and maybe there's a higher power. But like, what grounds you?
I would, knowing that there's always a next chapter, and it could be at work, as I mean, look at your story, and what you did, and then you move to your next chapter, and you seem even happier here, and and I know that there's another one after this, or maybe all of these things, and that keeps me grounded, because you always want the next chapter to be better than this one.
Yeah, right.
And that gateway, is being successful here, which will hopefully, being successful in anything that you do could give you the means to make the next chapter what you want. And that's a lot of times knowing, even on your worst day, that it's gonna get better. Whether just in business or personal or what have you. So I always have that in mind, which is what keeps me grounded.
That's beautiful. Thank you. And something you said earlier about the open door policy that you instill in your organization. I'm reading a book called No Ego. So I know we talked about ego as well.
Yeah.
And part of the premise of the book is that have we gone too far with open door, in terms of, like you mentioned, like coming up with creative ideas, but also, are we creating too much space for people that I call it, like the Cartman's drama triangle, to be like to be in complaining mode, and I'm curious, like as a leader, I struggled with this when I was growing up in Monterey. Is oftentimes we'd be going through tremendous change. Like, for example, we were changing our software system, and there's a lot of stress, and sometimes people would be in more an emotional space. And I'm curious, as a maybe more in theoretical, but maybe more practical as well. Like what is the role of a leader with their team when they're going through like periods of high stress and creating space for emotion or not, like and maybe try to get them to get move off of emotion and
Yeah.
into action again. And I'm curious if you any thoughts that come up for you around that.
Yeah. You're what I hear you're saying is, the open door policy can be amazing, but it also, and you're right. If you have the policy, you have to stand for it. And sometimes it's used and it doesn't always particularly result in an amazing solution or what
Right.
have you. But what it does do, I would say almost every time, is it allows our team and me specifically to explain things because, when you're going through, like you mentioned, an ERP
Yeah.
transition,
Yep.
or you're going, we're going through we're integrating a new trucking software that makes
Yep.
us more efficient,
Yep.
explaining to people in terms of why we're doing this. We're definitely
Yes.
not doing a new ERP to recklessly spend a couple $1,000,000, but this is what it's going to improve. The trucking
Right.
software is going to improve and make sure that you're home every day, for your kid's
Right.
softball game,
Yeah.
or
Love the way you put
or
it.
it's going to be safer for you. It's going to be less frustrating for
Right.
you. Yes, it's different and you got to do this, but to help people to understand the big picture and the
Yes.
things in their world, what it might be right now, how this is going to improve. And
Yeah.
and that is, you're right. Definitely some things are, like, I don't think I've been stumped yet, but some, you got to get a little bit creative. Some things we might be just doing that, with truck cameras was one with our drivers. They don't want cameras on them and
Right.
stuff like
I
that. But
get that, by the way, on some level. At a visceral level, it's like, hey, that feels a little weird. Yeah.
yeah, it
Yeah.
does. But if you are a driver and this is your thing,
Yep.
this is
Yep.
your PhD. This is your PhD as a
Right.
doctor, right? It's your class B or class A, and somebody, and we know, and through our cameras, what we've already caught is just people being unbelievably immoral, and
Yeah.
doing things that could cost this driver their license.
Correct.
If
Correct. Their
you lose your
career.
license,
Yep.
you can't practice, and so, and explain it like that and say, and there's other benefits to GFI. Our insurance goes down if we have these, but I'm not going to
Right.
tell, which obviously is good for the company and everything,
It
but
is.
really, what is it for this driver, and it is crazy, one of my, I guess where I question humanity sometimes. Some of the things that I see that people do out on
Right.
the road, and you see it, on these cameras sometimes. But it is definitely, that is a part where, I can always, I hope I can always explain it in the overall, the greater good of the company, and why it's going to make your life better.
Yeah. That's beautiful. And they start, it sounds like Simon Sinek, and start with why, right? And
Yeah,
if we do that always, then we can connect to people. They can connect to that. It's not just someone from on high putting down new rules to do new rules. There's a reason, there's
yeah,
a rationale, and taking the space and the time to have those. To your point earlier, like our human resources, our team is the most important part of our companies, and
yeah.
I think that's beautiful advice. Thank you for sharing about that. And what comes up for me now is I'm thinking about like GFI plays on a national scale today, because of the leadership of you and your team and what you accomplished, and it's amazing what's been accomplished at GFI, and you're competing against some really large players out in the world, and I'm curious, like how you look at competition. Like, is it something where you're striving to be as big as them, to be more like them? Is it like is it I have my own swim lane? I'm curious, like how you look at kind of the competitive space today, and how you approach it.
Yeah, and without giving too many of my amazing secrets.
Right?
No, it's fine. None of this is, I mean, it's one thing to have the answers, but putting them into play, especially as you scale like we are, and of course there are other larger distributors to us, but I think our like GFI is in the food business,
Right.
But but we want to be a technology company, and
Oh,
like,
interesting.
and when I say technology, we're in the food business. Is food very important to us? But how can we, now that we figured out how to collapse the supply chain, how can we collapse the all of the obstacles to getting this product to our customers
Mm-hmm.
faster, wiser, with less clicks, with less
Yeah.
steps.
No less friction all the way through.
Yeah,
Yes.
all of the things, all the way to, can you imagine this? As in our technology that we have invested in, and I say, when I going back to my statement, we're in the food business, but
Mm-hmm.
we want to be a technology company.
Yep.
We want our customers, an independent restaurant, when they get online to order, and our software has learned how they've ordered over the last year,
Wow.
it's asking them, is this what you want to order again? Well, yeah, well, that was easy. Yes, boom. If they forget to order, and our technology knows that they order every Tuesday for the last 90% of the Tuesdays in the last year, it's hitting them with a text saying, hey, your order cutoff's coming up. You just want to place your last order?
Did this is happening today?
I told you I wasn't telling you secrets.
This is amazing. I didn't
It
know
would be
this.
amazing if it could.
Yeah.
But all you hear is AI,
Right.
NVIDIA and all of these things. I mean, it is all there. It's just, finding, you have the right solution,
Mm-hmm.
you let it learn, and then all of a sudden, I, for the past 3 years, was saying content is currency. Now all of this content and data is, you add the data in there, that we know that the historicals, and you can make it so easy. I mean, Amazon's a great example of that in
Mm-hmm.
scary fashions. Like, how did you know I was thinking I needed gloves?
Yeah. Yeah. There's something that goes back to me about humility and kind of this vision, like for like what a distributor can be. And it's like, no, you don't need to conform to us, right? Like our job is to really figure out how to kind of integrate better and more efficiently into your lives and make your life easier.
Yeah.
And I don't see that theme a lot in food distribution today, especially in retail. I think I'm starting to understand the secret sauce here is that this is probably part of why GFI, the team, empowering the team, and then thinking through like the customer really matters, right?
Yeah.
And then I don't want to go too deep into anything you want to go to here, but I think part of this is also because of, like you said earlier, the way you make money in a way,
Yeah.
like you make money by selling product to retailers.
Mm-hmm.
That is the core way, is my understanding. I work with many brands with GFI, and I can tell
Yeah.
you that other distributors today, it's become a bit perverse in that they make oftentimes more money from the manufacturer to pay the toll booth to have access
Yeah.
to accounts. Um, and is that something that's really philosophically important to you, to make money off of selling product? Is it core?
I mean, at the end of the day, and we're not a publicly traded company, so I don't have to worry about it so much more. So, you know, I mean, at we're not successful if we don't buy and sell these products
Mm-hmm.
at a profit.
Yep.
And in a competitive landscape with the big customers we do business with, that can be challenging, but
Yeah.
more and more so, you know, we're being more transparent with our customers and
Yep.
saying, you're making this challenging,
Yeah.
and you're making these products more expensive. And
Right.
if like, how can we work better together? And I don't say we blame, we say it can be better
Right.
if this, if we utilize technology, if you and we work very closely with our vendors to make sure that they have products and they use, scan bars that we can track for food safety, for also order accuracy and all of these things. And since we're in the specialty business, the nature of our business is our vendors are smaller. So they may not have a inkjet printer that can put a barcode on there. Well, we want to help them to find a supplier that can, because that barcode is really important to us. That's the fingerprint that makes it, that we know that we're sending the right flavor of that goat log to our customer. Because if we make a mistake, it costs us money. We have to pick that product up. We could potentially damage it, lots of different things. So we work with our vendors to help them, so that they can operate in a climate so that they can scale up with big and small customers. But, going back to your question, and is that we definitely want our vendor partners accountable. And I will, again, like our open door policy with our team members, with any of our vendors, I'll explain. And I had a long conversation with one this week and explained, what happens when something doesn't work, and how much money and how much exposure that we have in getting paid and stuff. So, these aren't just things for our health, but they're for both of us. And just like content from our vendors, again, small vendors like you work with, like, why does GFI want all of this information?
Well, Mantis.
I'm telling you that the better it looks like on the UI with our customer, the more likely they are going to buy it. And the more places, and the more places we can push that information to.
Totally. Because you play in so many different realms today. It's interesting, like from cruise ships online to food service to what also comes up for me is you use the word specialty and the nature of specialty. And the two larger players in distribution and natural specialty today started off as specialty distributors too, and then became more, I think, in my opinion, like wholesalers. They're carrying the things that move the pallets at night out of the warehouse, and then also I think they still are clinging on to this idea that they're specialty. I think that it's hard, right? Because there's like this big wheel that is like effectively the Cheerios in a natural, it could be the Cascadian Farms or something. And then there's specialty, which like turns a small wheel and you mentioned nimble, like it's much more nimble. It turns faster. There's is it, do you believe that in general in America today, that there needs to be like someone like you, like in every like key retailer, like a true specialty distributor? I mean, it feels like that's what's missing for many across the country is more of GFI being that secondary specialty distributor that really does specialty well. Does that feel right?
Well, I mean, everything, if a product life cycle, in theory, everything starts specialty. When I started 20 years ago, we were distributing Sabra hummus and Stacy's pita chips and these huge things, and we were successful with good products, and they kind of grow up, and then a lot of our customers that are self-distributed can buy them, and it takes money out of our pocket because we don't make a profit on those items. But our role, I feel, again, I'm very passionate about food. If you, I went to one of our e-commerce meetings yesterday, and I, first thing I said is, "Where's the cheese?" Like we
who moved it?
like we're gonna, anytime we have a meeting over 30 minutes, I want to have some cheese out there so we can take a little break and say, okay, we were going to talk about financials and all this kind of stuff, which is important and stuff like that. But we're here, we distribute food. I think we aspire to have as much business as a distributor. You can drive operating costs. It's not complicated out of the system by larger drop sizes. So we want to continue to grow our drop sizes, but the nature of it is when we're doing our job, Sabras and the Stacy's pita chips, they've arrived.
They move on.
And we have to have these other great products that people believe in, that are produced responsibly, that are packaging innovation, that are, that are meaningful. And, I think there's always going to be that. And, you know, those items, we don't have big thresholds for items that we will carry as far as movement and stuff like that, because, we wouldn't be taking it on if we didn't think it could be the next Stacy's or Sabra, assuming, of course, the producer has the appetite to scale up.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, and you mentioned cheese at the meetings, and that it feels like that was I think that was the core of the business. I think originally,
Yes.
it was a cheese shop, right? That turned into this
Yeah.
national company. And I also sense that you're more than just like the fresh perimeter. Like it isn't. It's yes, we have core competency that's so deep,
Yeah.
but I think you're expanding into specialty grocery and things as well. Is that right?
Yeah. We have we're definitely, because for many, especially international vendors, while we can onboard products a lot faster than larger companies can, so we can go to market faster. We work with our vendors, especially new vendors, to onboard them. We have an onboarding specialist. We have, we want to extend opportunities for smaller companies, to keep cash flow. We know that, they need to, especially as they're growing, to buy raw materials and stuff. So work with certain ones that we can extend, opportunities for them to recover their cash to continue to produce products fast. So, it's, we want, is even as big as we get, new products is the lifeblood of our business. New products, and if we're not setting up 50 new items a week, it sounds crazy, but there's a point of diminishing return. Hopefully, we can't forever, no matter how big our facilities are, continue to do that if we're not making some hard decisions on the other side that, hey, this didn't work. But we want new products, new producers all the time, because that's also our core value to a lot of our customers, is what's new.
Right.
What do you have? Like, help me weed out, some of the stuff, and because there's so much out there.
No, that's beautiful. And your sales team, as I understand it, like I know for some of the larger distributors in this space, like the sales team, it has way too many products and doesn't have the depth of knowledge. And I think that's something different about GFI, is that your team has very specialized knowledge, and it almost acts like a broker in some cases, it feels like. Is that fair?
Yeah, we can't be, completely have the same knowledge base as the manufacturer would for their product. But we go to great lengths, and it's very expensive, to have ongoing exposure to products and vendors and learn their items. We have subject matter experts in our organization on, some more complex categories that, can help as an aid to our direct sales force. But we, it's understanding products, like our sales team is excited about food. It's an important question during the interview process, so, if you're not excited about good food, you probably, you're not going to be great at your job at GFI. It's not just about selling the product. It's about, we want to sell the best products, but we also are mindful that not every product is right for each customer. So we have a great range of products that would appeal to both sides of the spectrum. But and to your point earlier, yes, our for as long as I've been here, up until the last 5 years, we were really kind of just thought of as the perimeter of the store, bakery, deli, perishable, all the perishable meat department. But because of some great relationships we have we're definitely expanding our assortment exponentially in some categories that we haven't been selling as much, in the previous 10 years.
Yeah, the trucks are already going there, and
Yeah,
why not? I think you said drop
right,
sizes is the path to profitability, so that makes a
right.
lot of sense. Yeah, beautiful. And uh, thinking about your job, your role, what is the favorite thing that you get to do?
Well, I love free samples.
Way to own it.
Uh,
I'm in that boat.
yeah, no, I do love tasting products. I bring them a lot of times home to my family. We're all adventurous eaters and
Mhm.
stuff, and because your family's never afraid to hold punches, which
Right. Yep.
I do like that part. I like uh, also bringing solutions and to market new ideas and
Mm.
programs with our customers, and seeing it in full force, and then our customers getting behind it, and you can see it through social media and stuff like that. I like the fact of being kind of behind the curtain too. It goes back to
Um,
maybe that humble part
yeah.
where all the blood, sweat, and tears that go into these programs, and sometimes our category managers may get promoted and stuff and move up the ladder
Yeah.
at these customers, and they remember what we did, and how we did it together, and then it may open other doors for us.
No, that's
But
that's
I
beautiful.
like that part.
I'm also curious, like when I'm trying to track you down often, and you're usually oftentimes in another country or somewhere else. Do you enjoy the travel?
Yeah, I do. I definitely like to see different production and understand it. Especially overseas, it's crazy, these products that have been produced for 200, 300 years the same way, and reminding myself that you know sometimes you need that so that you can get behind it, and it inspires you and reminds you why this product is potentially $2 or $3
Yep.
more than something that was produced in less time with more automation and such. So yeah, I do enjoy definitely uh, sourcing products
Mhm.
abroad or even domestically, and I really like doing it we do it a lot with our customers, and that's really fun too, because you leave the office environment, and it's a little, it's definitely a lot easier
Yep.
when you're at Taste of Place, to explain why this product
Yeah.
costs this.
Yeah. That's beautiful. And I'm thinking about like this theme of humility that's kind of been throughout our entire the thread of our meeting, if you will, our time together. And I think that a lot of brands out there don't think about GFI first because they don't know a lot, right? It's like you fly below the radar screen in some ways. And so for a younger or even middle-sized specialty brand that wants to consider working with GFI, is it just submitting through the portal or how do they get to meet you? Yeah, you meet your
Yeah,
team.
so we definitely on our website have a platform, and it is an important thing. It's not just a smoke and mirrors exercise. So any any vendor that feels that they want to connect with our thousands of doors
Yep.
in retail, food service, manufacturing, all that, they can go online and submit their item with, in a survey format, and then we will reach back out for samples. And I go to, if I'm in town, every one of those that we have quarterly, and there's some amazing products that have come out of those. I can mention a few of them. The vendors that submitted know who they are. I can think of a couple of them off the top of my head. And they're not all wins. They're definitely not, I would say. But I go to every single one and try every item because, again, new products are the lifeblood of our
Right.
company. And it's easy, especially if you've been doing this for a long time. And sometimes I catch myself saying, oh, we tried that before.
Yes,
Well,
I'm guilty of that.
man, yeah, I know we did, and I can think of other examples where it took us 3 times,
Yep.
you know,
Yes.
maybe we were ahead of our time. Maybe we didn't find the right customer. Maybe, what it could be a ton of different things. The timing wasn't right, but man, that is one thing. And I think people know in these meetings when we bring our sales team and our purchasing
Mhm.
team and all of the people in and then our overall team, we have, not only do we have 1,300 team members, we have 1,300 consumers.
Right.
Like tell us what you think. Would
Yeah.
you buy this at $5.99 or $7.99? So don't discount that group.
Right. So you're saying you mentioned these quarterly meetings. Is it like a quarterly new item meeting that's internal or?
Yes, sorry.
Okay.
So they submit their items, and our new item onboarding team ambassador will have some chats with sales leadership, and we really rarely turn anything down. Again, going back to our rule that, oh, well, we've tried that before. We rarely turn it down unless it's something completely outside of our scope
Mhm.
as a company. And so they submit them. We have this, I think you've been to our facility, this
Yep.
gigantic, super duper long table,
Yep.
and we put them out there, and we have surveys, and everybody submits their thoughts and comments. And then from there, we reach out to the vendor, and we build kind of a joint business plan, and get a little bit more understanding. Are they working with, what retailers or food service customers? What doors are they currently operating? Where do they want to go? Are there, are there efficiencies that we can get to if we partner? All of this stuff, and we build a plan with them, and then we go to market. And part of that plan a lot of times is how are we going to get our sales team excited? How do we get
Yep.
your product in their sample bag?
Got it. And you're okay pioneering products. Like you'll bring out a product that doesn't have, you're not just taking over a business and you will go make it happen.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely, yes. I mean, we want all the white space in the world.
There we go. This is
uh, the
this
more
is
white the
this
more
is
white
you.
space, the better. Like we ask a lot of times, who are you already working with? We'd be more than happy to help in that partnership. But we want to know what, if you have very little white space, that could be a deal breaker.
Right.
If you're only trying to get into Kroger or what have you, well, we want to, we love selling to
Right.
Kroger, but we want to have scale and reduce our risk by
Hmm.
getting more customers on.
Yeah. That's great. If it's the larger distributors, I never recommend going in without an anchor customer because it just
Yeah,
doesn't work. But with
there
you,
is
it sounds like
that
you
is
really
not one of
can.
our criteria. I will say that with
Oh,
vigor.
bigger. I hear it. I hear the bigger. That's that's fantastic. And I think you mentioned at the beginning, but it surprised me the breadth of business. So you're not just in retail. You also are pretty big in food service as well, correct?
Yeah,
In
correct.
in a lot of markets or
Yeah, I mean, um, you know, I would say we are one of the few distributors out there that have such a scalable business on the retail side. Your
hmm.
Kroger, Whole
Yep.
Foods, Publix, everybody
Yep.
on that side. And then also on the food service, where you're talking, hotels, cruise lines, independent restaurants, caterers. We have a very sizable business on both sides. And
Yeah.
it is it's hard. If
Yeah.
you look at our competitors, if you're a US Foods or what have you, you're very strong here, but you're not strong
Yep.
here. You look at, some of the other ones on that do business with the Whole Foods and and some of the other big retailers. They're really good here. They don't do good here. Well, for one, it was great during COVID when you had this one shut
Yeah.
down. You were
Yes.
here.
Yes.
Uh,
Diversified. Yep.
yeah, but it's also really good because the lines are getting blurred.
Hmm. They are.
They really are, especially with food service. We're doing, you go into a big retailer, and they've got, they're trying to recapture that money that is spent, dining away from home,
Mhm.
and trying to get that, if you will, delicatessen or
Yep.
retail food service
Yep.
business. I mean, we're selling, all of these items that we sell to cruise ships, number 10s of garbanzo beans
Yep.
have an opportunity in a lot of our retailers.
Right.
So
Right.
that segment of our business is doing well. And again, you mentioned the word anchor, which we already have the anchor business. We have the
Yeah.
food service. So it's a really easy, yes, of course we have that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And my distribution company, we grew up in food service and then added in retail. And what I noticed is that the food service mentality is one of like, it needs to be there. You got to take care of it. It's like higher fill rates. And I think that probably, and tell me if you think this is accurate, but it probably helps you be a better retail distributor because of the food service
It
mentality.
definitely does. Nothing against our retail partners, but their standards are oftentimes less on fill
Yeah,
rate
they
and
are
stuff. But
way
yeah,
lower.
where it makes sense if you're a restaurant or a cruise ship for that.
It's on the menu. Yeah.
Well, a cruise ship. Think about like you short me on 50-pound bags of sugar. I can't pick this up on my way
Right.
to
No.
Jamaica.
No. No.
So it is funny. We were asked by one of the big cruise lines. It was a while ago. And they said, "You're really doing great. We want to give more business to you." And they asked us if we wanted to do toilet paper. I'm like, heck no, I do not want to do toilet
It'll
paper.
fill your trucks up. Yep.
Well, they'll fill our trucks up, but can you imagine shorting toilet paper? How much crap? I don't bad pun, but
Yeah.
I mean, how much trouble you'd be in? Listen, people can probably live without the sugar. Toilet paper is a different story.
Yeah, no, yeah. There's gonna be a revolt if that happens.
But you're right. It was also about the cube and everything. But I was like, oh my gosh. There's no tolerance for shorting that.
No. But I think my hypothesis is, and I think you're confirming it, is that food service side just makes the whole organization better because you just there's a mentality of like, we must not short. We have to own our supply chain. That comes from that. Brian,
and also the stuff that goes behind the curtain, to make sure that we as a company we run out of product and lead time's 3 weeks. We're not going to wait 3 weeks. We're going to hopefully find it somewhere else in our in the ecosystem and get it there so that we can improve that. It's that responsible paranoia I think we always have.
Yeah, that's it. And I think that's instilled from the food service side. I remember we would use airplanes sometimes. Like our biggest customer was Sprouts and the distribution company, and I remember flying out to Dallas, and I had like 20 boxes of turkey under the plane and trying to get it on a cart, and it's like, whatever it takes. So,
yeah. No, that's good leadership.
Yeah, whatever it takes. Yeah, right. But anyway, Brian, this has been an amazing time together. I'm grateful for our friendship. I'm grateful for the leadership you have over an amazing organization that really fills a niche in our multiple markets, if you will, multiple channels that you guys fill so amazingly. And just grateful you spent this time with me. You've thousands of people that are looking to you for leadership today, and you take the time out of that to be on this the show with me today. Thank you.
You're always fun to chat with. It's not work at all. It's more fun than, again, this is one of the fun things that I get to do, and always great to chat with in our business, and we share a lot of the same enthusiasm for what we do and in people. So I thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, you're very welcome. All the best.